and I said, God, like, I don't care anymore. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what you're doing. I said, I feel like I've been trying to follow, your will for me this entire time. And I'm really sick of it. And I honestly don't care where I go anymore.
Yeah.
I said, you could call me across the world and I would be fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the next lease that shows up in my inbox, I'm going to sign, no questions asked. So just do whatever you will with that.
Hear him out. I barely know him.
Hello and welcome to the Hear Him Out podcast, a weekly conversation with my friends and I about how God speaks to us and asks us to hear him out. This week, I have Spence.
That's my name.
And Joe. Joe's going to be next week. So just ignore him. I'm actually just going to put like a block over you the entire recording.
You should really hide ugly. So
Yeah.
That would be the best thing.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. And so, these are my friends. Institutors, some of the tutors from last year.
The tuties.
I'm a tutor.
Tutors. Yeah, that's what I like to call them. So previously, aka yesterday, but in weeks terms from when the podcast episodes are going to be releasing. Sorry, my brain hurts too. Math is hard. So Molly and Cassie were just on the podcast.
Cool.
And so, but I filmed
More
with them
tutors.
yesterday. More tutors.
And Isaiah and Ashton.
And Isaiah and Ashton were also on the podcast. Ashton, I still haven't had an episode.
The Tutor Podcast.
It should just be the Tutor Podcast. Spelled Tooter.
Mm-hmm.
The Tutors.
More specifically, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Spence. Oh, do you want to say something, Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, you have award-winning institutors because me and Spencer won awards at the institute.
What
event.
Awards? Least likely
I was the most.
to be
my
pastors.
PowerPoint was just asked. What was my PowerPoint? The most.
Your PowerPoint was the most
egregious PowerPoint. Probably that's like a perfect.
What
word.
was it about?
nothing.
I know what it was about. I want to know what it was about.
Nothing.
For class?
No.
Oh.
It was just for friends.
For fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like biblical or anything.
You can say that.
You can say.
I want to know so bad. Can you tell me off the pod?
Yeah, I'll tell you off the pod.
Okay.
Podcast?
No, I'll cut it.
Are we restarting?
No, yeah, probably.
So how many terabytes worth of storage do you pay for on iCloud?
I put it all on a hard drive, and then I like a thing that plugs into my phone, and then I put it on my laptop.
In fact, it wasn't working until I got there.
Yeah, that's actually true. I was having a hard time like getting it to work, and I was at Watermark, and I was trying to like upload it onto the thing, and it wasn't working for the longest time. For like 2 days, I couldn't figure it out. Joe walks in the room, and it starts working.
Nerd.
Yeah, he didn't even touch it. Literally didn't even touch it. Didn't do anything. He just walked in the room, and then it started working. Yeah,
your aura is over 1,000.
I think I got scared.
Yeah, I mean that happened all the time. You know, I used to do technical support for Apple, and everybody would always come to me with problems. But whenever I got on the phone or I helped somebody in person, that problem just went away.
Yeah,
and it was so funny because they're like, I swear it was just happening,
and that's what happened to me. I was like, I swear this wasn't working. I swear.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so we can get back into it.
Yeah, you want to restart?
No, we can just keep going. I'll just cut a bunch of it out.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, now that was all cut out, and you have no idea what we just talked about. Back to the podcast. So, do you have any fun stories about our friendship and how we met, Spencer? I don't remember the first time I met you. I'll be honest. I think
It was a porch.
Okay, probably at the porch, or could have been on a Sunday during 2-3 Kids. I think one of the first memories I have of you that I like really remember is when you were on stage, because we both served for 2-3 Kids for Watermark, and you were on stage. Were you golfing?
I was.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's one of the first memories I have of you.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So I do skits
Mm-hmm.
for second, third, fourth, fifth, and for fourth and fifth grade.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes kindergarten, first grade.
Okay.
And so this particular day, I was playing a character where I would show up on stage and then like golf or do something like that, something funky, something crazy. And in this particular scene, I went up and was pretending to golf, but then I was taking like coaching from various other people like around me on
Mhm.
stage or even from the kids.
Mhm.
And so like this scene, it was like, oh, bend your knees.
Yeah, you were
when
like
when you're golfing.
squatting.
Well, they said
Yeah.
bend your knees, so I bent my knees a little bit, and then the kids caught on and they started screaming, "Bend your knees!" And so I bent my knees a little bit more, and it got to the point in time where my butt was touching the ground.
Oh yeah, I want to take a picture so bad,
and I had to
like,
swing the golf
yeah.
club from there, and like that was part of the bit. It was being wacky and crazy. But yeah, so I served with the skit team at Watermark. And
You
it's a
were
lot of
on
fun.
today.
I was doing that today. Yeah.
He was in a character today. Yeah.
Yeah, I sure was. I think the first memory that I really have of you was, I think we were at Porch for some reason, and I remember this. This was before that skit happened.
Okay.
But I like walked up to you and I was like, "Hey, I'm Spencer," and you said, "Yeah, I'm Izzy. We've met before." And it was like that moment where I was like, "Okay, I can never forget this name again." And so, and then you like listed like 2 other times we'd hung out, and I was like, "Oh, oops."
Like I've met you. Yeah.
Like we actually know each
To
other.
be fair, I don't remember those times.
And
now.
that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better.
But
you might have lied to me just to make me feel
no,
bad.
no, I definitely like. I wouldn't have lied to you.
Okay.
Like I definitely, because that's the type of person I am too. That I'm like, if I have met you before, I'm gonna be upfront and blunt and be like, yeah, we've met before. Like not to make you feel bad, because I've done the same thing where I've forgotten, and then people will say it to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right, I forget, whatever. But I just think it's funny because then it kind of makes you uncomfortable, and I think it's just so funny to see you being uncomfortable.
Making people uncomfortable is so fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And I felt like your sense of humor and like who you were, I was like, I can say this to him.
Definitely.
I can be like,
Absolutely.
We've already met, Spencer.
Yeah.
We go way back.
What are we doing?
Yeah, we've been friends for 3 years. What are you talking about? Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So good memory.
Thanks.
Wow. That's fun. Yeah, we've had lots of fun since.
I think we've had lots of fun since.
Yeah. We're in the same friend group, same group chat.
Mm-hmm.
You very occasionally will like join the group chat with some
I
like a
drop in.
funny one-liner or something.
Yeah, I don't read a lot of it, which is kind of funny because sometimes people will be like, "Oh, we're going to do X, Y, and Z." And I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, thanks for the invite," and they'll be like, "Spencer,
You're in the group chat." Like it was there. Yeah.
But if you looked at my phone, you'd be like, "Oh, he has 217 unread text messages."
That makes me want to throw up.
Yeah. It's not my.
It's probably all that group chat.
It's not my greatest quality.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was funny recently. I remember one time recently you like just came into the group chat all of a sudden and you spoke for me and you told somebody, I forget exactly what it was, but I just remember you were like, Izzy told me to tell you guys blah, blah, blah.
Something egregious.
And I was like, hold on, I can speak for myself, thank you.
And then you
I
repeated what the egregious thing was.
Yeah.
I was like, I was right, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think it was like a basketball player or something that looked like JP.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but like a different ethnicity or something. And you were like, Izzy wanted me to tell you guys that looks like JP, but a different ethnicity. And I was like, Spencer, I can speak for myself. Guys, that looks like JP with a different ethnicity. So that was funny. Oh, that was really funny. And I don't think you've added anything in the group chat since. So,
I don't think so either.
But every once in a while when it's fun. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Joe's not in that group chat.
He is.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm like,
Can
brother.
you see how often I actually am in there? I have no idea who's in it now.
He's in it.
That's cool.
Yep.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yes.
I'm just happy to be here.
We're glad you're there. Yeah. Anyway, so fun times. Fun guys. Do you want to get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what the first question is.
Well, it's really only one question, and then from there I'll ask more questions.
Okay.
If I think of more.
The story.
When is a time in your life that you feel like the Lord has asked you to hear him out about something?
Okay. So there's obviously lots. I'm gonna go with like a big move.
Okay.
Of course. So, and I'll kind of tell the whole story because there's a little bit of chaos.
Ooh.
And I'm not sure it's been so much that the Lord has asked me to like, hey, like I just want you to hear me out about something. It was.
Well, then you can't be on the podcast.
Yeah, I can't. I
so
can't do the podcast.
Get out.
Yeah, leave.
Why are you even here? That's the whole point of the podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
I think it was just a lot of me being like, I don't actually know what's going on, God.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, and just total blindness. And I think I've told you this before, and Joe and I have talked about this a lot, but a lot of my life has felt like I don't know where my next step's going to be. And I just have to like put my foot out blindly and like trust it's going to catch me.
Yeah.
Right. that he's going to be there, like with the next stepping stone,
Mhm.
even though I have no idea where that is.
Leap of faith,
Yeah,
some may say.
absolute leap of faith.
Like the Indiana Jones scene in the
Mm-hmm.
one of the movies, whichever
Yes,
one
where
it
he
is.
throws the sand out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he's going to, I know
Yep.
what you're talking about. So that has definitely been a pattern in my life. And the first couple times it really sucked
Mhm.
because it wasn't something that I was kind of used to.
Mhm.
Whereas nowadays I've just seen the pattern so many times where I'm like, oh, okay, I just have to jump again, you know? And sometimes you have to brace yourself for that.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, like having learned it a couple times over, when your back's really up against the wall, and sometimes like you're in a position where you're not going to jump, and then God says, okay, then I'm going to make you, and like he pushes you.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's happened to me a lot.
So I would say back right when I was graduating college, I graduated a semester early, and I was in a lease with a group of guys that I was living with. And for a whole bunch of reasons I'm not going to get into, I had to essentially move out overnight.
This is in San Diego, correct?
This was living in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh,
previous
context.
episode was Cassie. Okay. And
Oh,
Cassie
yeah.
went to San Diego State.
Yeah.
So we mentioned you in the previous episode.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, all said bad things, but you know.
Good,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
No, so I actually knew Cassie from church too.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's a whole story of, you know, how she got connected to Watermark, which is great too.
Yeah,
so.
she shared it a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'll have to go listen to it.
Yeah.
See what she said about me.
Yeah.
Hey, Cassie.
Hi.
So anyways, I had to move out of my house like overnight. I like van came down, loaded everything up at like 4:30 a.m. and then walked over to one of my roommates' room and said like, here's a check for next month's rent. Here's money for utilities. Goodbye. It was
Peace
nuts.
out.
So I moved back to my parents. That was in January.
And you're a believer at this point.
I'm a believer at this
Okay.
point. Yeah.
When did you become a Christian?
It was the beginning of my junior year that I began to have an interest
Okay.
in exploring faith
Okay.
again, after I had grown up in the church.
Okay.
And then it was like months. And I actually, for anybody who's like listening who doesn't feel like they, or feels like they need a watershed moment of like, oh my gosh, I've come to faith, like, you know, everything's changed about me, you know, that's not how it worked for me.
Yeah.
It was a slow drip
Yeah.
over time. I had
Mhm.
known everything, you know, but the Lord was slowly revealing truth to me in a new light, where I just like fell in love with him slowly.
Yeah.
And slowly gave up things of the world. It wasn't like overnight, oh my gosh, I'm going to stop drinking and smoking and sleeping around.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, hang on. Maybe God's better than weed.
Yeah.
And I tried that and I realized that he was.
Yeah.
And then it was maybe God's better than drinking.
Yeah.
And I tried that and he was. Right. And so that's how I ended up coming to faith.
Okay. Yeah.
So at this point I am a Christian.
Okay.
Is
Is this your senior year, correct?
Senior year.
Okay, okay.
I just graduated.
Oh, just
right?
graduated. Okay, yes.
And so I moved back with my parents, and I had not been able to find a job to save my life. I really wanted to be in medical sales, working in the operating room as a sales representative for maybe Stryker or Arthrex or something like that. And I could not find a job with them. All at once, the Lord provided a job for me that was in software, but in the medical side of software.
Okay.
So I was selling telehealth.
Okay.
And at the same time, my parents woke me up because I'd moved back to my parents' house at that point. I moved out of the old house, moved back to my parents' house.
Where are you from originally?
San Diego.
Oh, so you like
born and raised San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Leave the house, back to the parents' house, get a job. I think it was like 4 weeks into living with my parents. Then my parents woke me up one day, said, "Hey Spencer, we just listed the house that you've lived in for the last 13 years. It's sold immediately. And we've decided we're moving to Texas. Do you want to come with us?" I said, "Huh?" And they said, "Well, trick question. You are going to come with us unless you can find somewhere to live in the next like month." It was kind of nuts.
Did you know this, Joe?
I had no idea.
You had no idea.
Wow.
And I love my parents.
Yeah.
They love me. This
Yeah.
was them caring about me
Yeah.
a lot.
I mean,
right?
that's fair because it's like, well, you're either coming with us or
Yeah.
you're finding a place here, but you have a month to find one.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you have a
Yeah.
place in Texas.
Absolutely.
It's either that or you're homeless in San
Yeah.
Diego. So
Some people would hear that and think that my parents were being cruel to me, and that wasn't it at all.
it
They were
doesn't
loving
sound
me.
like that to me.
They were
yeah.
loving me in that way. So
Most parents would be like, "We're moving. Peace out. Good
Mhm.
luck on your own."
yeah.
So,
So
not
this,
most. But yeah.
this new job that I have, all software, it's all virtual. And so I have the ability to move if I want to
Okay.
and keep my job. And I kind of wanted to stay with my parents to save a little bit of money on
Yeah.
rent.
Might as well.
But I also didn't want to leave my church in San Diego. It's
Oh,
where
yeah.
I'd gotten saved. I had a pastor there. He was, discipling me in a way that I'd never experienced before.
Mm-hmm.
And
Community.
I was seriously looking at, working there for a long time, like potentially becoming someone on staff at that church.
Oh, wow.
I was considering seriously going into just full-time ministry out of college. And so I didn't want to leave. And I went and talked to my pastor about it. And I mean, we spent 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because I didn't have a lot of time, right? I was desperately searching for a place to live, could not find somewhere to live. And there was one kind of out of the box option that just would not have been a good situation.
Yeah. Didn't have peace about it. You're like,
Didn't have peace about it at all. But I was talking to my pastor and I was just like, AJ, I don't know what I want. And he was like, okay. And I was like, and what's really driving me nuts is that I've been praying about this so hard and I don't know what God wants. It's like, I'm listening to him and he's not saying anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm getting upset about it.
Yeah.
I'm like almost angry. And AJ told me something that I will never forget. He said, Spencer, sometimes God gives us two choices and neither of them are bad.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I don't like that.
Yeah. No, tell me what to do.
I just want him to tell me what to do. I just want it to be easy. Just tell me what to do. I will do anything for you. But I just don't see what it is. And so I ended up just moving to Austin just because I was like, I want to try it. So my plan was to be there for 3 months, move back to San Diego.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Austin just to save some money so I can move back to San Diego. It's going to be fine. I left a bunch of things in storage in San Diego. That's how serious I was about coming back.
What year is this?
2021.
Okay.
And
like summer of 2021?
Maybe 2022. It was 2022.
Okay, summer of 2022?
Wait, summer of 2022.
Okay, got it.
So, summer of 2022, I moved to Austin, Texas, and I don't know anybody except a couple family members, right? So my aunt and my uncle, but none of my cousins were there. I didn't know anyone my age. I was living out in the suburbs, recently graduated from college. It's summer, so all of the college ministry stuff is not in session. Nothing's going on. And I church hopped every single weekend that summer. I desperately was looking for a church. I was looking for community. I needed somebody to talk to. I'm a big extrovert.
Yeah.
I needed some sort of ministry or church to get plugged in with. Could not find it. Crying, asking God, please give me something because I don't have anyone out here. I just need your people, right? Where's my church? And nothing, man. It just sucked. And I kept looking for a place to move back to in San Diego. And every single door was shut in my face. It was like, no, this apartment won't work. These people already have a roommate. This, that, all the millions of reasons why I couldn't move back to San Diego, they just kept popping up. And finally I got to a point where I just threw my arms up and I said, God, I don't care anymore. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what you're doing. I said, I feel like I've been trying to follow, your will for me this entire time. And I'm really sick of it, and I honestly don't care where I go anymore. Yeah. I said you could call me across the world, and I would be fine with that. And I said the next lease that shows up in my inbox, I'm going to sign, no questions asked. So just do whatever you will with that. And within 48 hours, I got a phone call from someone that I hadn't talked to in years, and it was an old college friend that I knew through my cousins, and he just called me. He's like, "Hey, man, super random."
Super random.
I'm about to lose my apartment and I need someone to take over this lease. It would be, X number of dollars, whatever it was. If you can move in by in the next month, it'd be great. He goes, but I just sent you the lease. It's in your inbox. Go check it out if that's something you're interested in. And dead serious, I'm on the phone.
Where is this? Where is the lease?
It was in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought you were asking where I was.
Sorry,
I was actually on the lake in Austin. I was on Lake Travis. I remember exactly where I was when I got the phone call. I did that, so I went, what are you doing? And so I just said, okay, I'll check it out. Checked it out. I signed the lease before I ever saw the apartment.
Where was the apartment?
It was in Gables Turtle Creek Apartments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice area. It was great.
Very bougie, nice area.
It was pretty bougie, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I was living a little bit outside of my comfort zone as far as the amount of money that I was making. I was living off of savings for sure. But I was like, I told God I would do it.
Yeah.
And so here I am. I'm doing it. Right. And it ended up being an amazing year for me. But I move in, and a month into moving into my apartment, I get a call from my manager from this medical software sales company that because of the fact that I was virtual, I was able to move so much, which was great. So it was 100% online. Get a call from my manager, says, "Hey, Spencer, we got to let you go. Right. Having some finance problems.
I saw that coming. I'm sorry.
We got to let you go." Yeah.
Well, when you said your manager called, I go,
yeah, of course. No, what's funny is that when he texted me, he said, "Hey, Spencer, I need to call you. Do you have a second?" I was like, "Yep, I'm getting let go." I was like, "That's tough." And
it wasn't fired. It was let go.
it was let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't fired. He just said, "Yeah, we got to let you go." And I had never felt so much peace in my entire life. It was the weirdest thing because I felt so confident that I had done everything in total surrender to the Lord that even though I was really struggling with every single decision along the way, and like I really struggled with all those decisions, like, do I move to Austin? Do I move back to San Diego? Do I move to Dallas? Right? Do I just trust the Lord with this? Because of the fact that I had continuously just been like throwing things at the foot of the cross, I felt a lot of peace with it. I was like, all right, that sucks. And my manager was like really upset about it. He's like, "I'm sorry, I did everything I could." And I was like, "You know what, man? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that God's got it.
Yeah.
And I'll remember it forever because it was a Tuesday. And that Tuesday, I went to the porch. And at the porch, like just weeping, worshiping the Lord, just like, "God, I don't understand." It's like, I'm in a city that I don't know.
Because how long have you been here?
I'd been there for a month. Yes, I just moved to
So
Dallas.
you didn't really have friends probably at this point.
Barely.
Yeah.
I met this gal named Carrie. I think her last name's pronounced Gilliand. She's awesome. She lives in Houston now.
Oh, okay.
She's training to be a dentist. She's super
cool.
Hi, Carrie.
Shout out. Send her the pod.
So she's like standing next to me or whatever, and I'm just weeping like, "God, like I don't get it. I don't understand." I feel like I've done everything.
Boys cry?
Yeah, boys cry. I cry.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I cry thinking about the
cry,
gospel.
Joe?
I cry thinking about Jesus. We
cried-
cry all the time together.
We literally were crying. What was it, like 2 weeks ago in your home? Because
Yes.
we were just so thankful, like how God has like worked in our lives at Watermark, and how what was the whole thing like the that we feel like we're still in debt to Watermark, like because like it's given us so much.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wait,
It's
that's
given
so
me so
sweet
much.
and tender.
It was great.
Wait, that's so precious that you guys were just like sitting crying together. Wait, I love that. That's so precious. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, continue.
Yeah. Real men cry about the gospel.
Amen.
Just saying.
Amen.
So there I am, crying,
Mm-hmm.
worshiping the Lord. There's just really no better feeling.
Amen.
Total surrender, being like, "God, I don't get it. I really don't get it." And it's breaking my heart that I don't understand because I want to know what your will is for my life. And I told him, I was like, "I told you this a year ago. I said, I will give you everything that I have. No questions asked. Take it all from me. I just need to know what it is that you have for me. Like, just please make it clear because I'm tired of searching."
Just something.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. And this was after a whole other story about how I ended up getting plugged in with Watermark. It was like just so the Holy Spirit, how I ended up being there. But right afterwards, Carrie walks up to me. She goes, "Hey, Spencer." She didn't know that I had gotten let go. She goes, "Hey, Spencer, super random. Have you ever considered the Watermark Institute?"
I love that it's all these super random.
Super random.
Super random.
And I said,
It's not random.
Yeah, I know. It's not random. I said, "No, but it sounds like I'm going to apply."
Yeah.
What is that?
Didn't even know. No, but I'll apply. Okay, what is it?
Yeah, it was, "What is that?" Yeah. And so I got it, and I had the application, and to be honest with you, I was super lazy. I didn't fill it out for like 2.5, maybe 3 months.
When is this? Is this summer?
This is fall.
Fall.
Into December.
Into December of 2022 into 2023. Or like
Yeah,
end of 2022.
entering into 2023.
Okay.
And then I did,
Sorry, isn't the application for the institute due like January?
It's the end of January.
End of January.
January 30th or 31st, whichever day.
Okay.
January 31st it was due.
What you just do there?
The knuckle thing.
You know that? You know the knuckle thing?
What is the knuckle thing?
So if you count the months on your knuckles, you can know the days in each month.
Like if there's 30 or 31.
So it's January is 31, February is 30, March is 31, and you go like that all the way down.
So
and then you just have to remember that like there's a couple
James.
random months that are weird. I don't remember all the intricacies.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
You know,
I just know a couple.
February there's 29. I just do 30
Yada,
days
yada,
past,
yada.
past September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 except February, which has 29.
So
That's
which
weird.
knuckle do you use to figure out
Or
the leap
28.
year? Do you use like your toes at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we go back to my story?
yeah.
Okay, so it's okay. So it's January,
Mhm.
and I am going to do an interview with kids ministry. And I sit down with Ben Stringer and Neil Monroe,
Mhm.
and
Shout
I'm
out.
talking to them. Yeah, shout out, those guys are great.
Mhm.
And I'm talking to them about like my testimony, and they ask me what's the gospel, and I break it down as best I can at the time. And then we are about to wrap it up, and Neil goes, "Hey Spencer, have you ever considered doing the Institute?" And I was like, "That's weird," because I have been, and I've been planning on submitting the application, but I just haven't yet. And Neil he goes, "Okay, when you do, put me down as a reference because I think it'd be really awesome to have you on our team."
Mm.
And I was just so thankful for that. And so what ends up happening is I apply, find out a little bit later that I'm still jobless, by the way.
Mhm.
And then I have to decide whether or not I'm going to get a new job while I wait for the institute, or if I don't, that's a whole nother story. But to kind of put all of this into a bow, the Lord, looking back, so clearly had called me step by step in what felt like silence.
Mm.
And as things were placed in front of me, I continuously had to ask the question, do I love something, whatever it is, more than I love God? And am I willing to take this situation that I'm in and throw it at the foot of the cross and trust that the Lord is going to do something with it and take a step of faith?
Mm. Yeah.
And that's just been the pattern of my life, time and time again. It's been, do I love this more than I love God? And if I do, then am I willing to throw it at the foot of the cross?
Mm.
Um,
Idolatry.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's kind of my story.
That's crazy. That is so wild. So, okay. So, when did you have that conversation with Neil?
January.
So, like weeks
It was
before
like
the
weeks
application.
before the application was due.
So
Yeah.
you were like, gotta crank it out and get it in.
I think I cranked it out like that day.
Okay.
Like that day I went home and I like wrapped
It was like the Lord's reminder of like, no, do it.
Yeah.
And also not just like do it, but like kind of not confirmation that you get in, but also like kind of like a push and like encouragement of like other people are seeing this too.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't say it was confirmation that I got in, because I think even if I hadn't, it would have been me being faithful with what the Lord put in front of
Right.
me.
Yeah. For sure. But just kind of that encouragement even more. I don't know, because I feel like hearing that, then it would encourage me more of like, oh, I really should apply. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I need to be faithful, but helping, like, it just, I don't know. I feel like it would help me. That's just me personally. But I'm sure it probably encouraged you a lot, though, too, just to even hear that and see, like, oh, other people are recognizing that and seeing that. And it's a good push. Wow, that's crazy. That is so
Thanks.
crazy. And then you're in the Institute.
Then I was in the Institute. It
That's
was an amazing
crazy.
experience. And that's where I met Joe.
Yeah.
Now we're besties.
Bestie. Yeah, that's crazy. That's so awesome. Wow. So, okay, I had a question, but I feel like I forgot it now. Oh,
Okay.
crap. What was it?
Take as much time as you need. We can always just edit it.
That's so true.
I got a question.
Okay.
So throughout your interview process of the Institute, at what point were you excited about it? You're like, man, I really want this now.
Oh, that's a good question. If at any point.
I think it was a whole time. I think it was a whole time. I don't think there was a moment where I was like, oh man, this is,
Yeah.
Because
how long did it take from applying, interviews, get it?
I did a video interview, and then I did a phone interview, and then I did an in-person interview, and that was it.
Okay, so like a
Yeah.
month?
I found out, I think it was like March 27th or something like that.
That's so specific. Wow.
Yeah, maybe 26th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I found out because it was the day before I got the acceptance letter for my full-time job as a software salesperson.
So okay, yeah, because at this point, can we go back to
Still.
that? Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, let's circle back there. I think
Circle
that
back.
might have been my question earlier.
Oh, okay.
Was what were you doing with your what job? Because you got laid off in what
November.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking. So you moved to Dallas in October. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you got laid off in November.
Yeah.
Applied officially for the institute in January.
Yes, if I remember correctly.
So what happened in between November and January of applying to the institute? What were you doing?
I was just on unemployment and
Wow.
just trying to find a job. Just
See,
desperately trying to find a job. I was considering going back to bartending or something like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were a bartender. Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep looking for a job. I was like, I know something is going to come. And then there was this big question of okay, if you know you're going to be doing this really gnarly part-time experience,
the institute,
the institute from August until May of all between 2024 or 2023 and 2024, how are you supposed to justify going to employers and telling them that, yes, I want to work for your company, I want to be full-time, and I expect to have a long career here with you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they look for in interviews,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I had to be really pragmatic about it and continue asking the Lord. I was like, okay, God, I don't know if I'm in the institute yet. I'm going to interview expecting to not be in the institute.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell all these employers that I'm expecting to be with them for years,
Right.
right? Knowing darn well that I very well might not be.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't know the Lord's plan. You know, you didn't know. So it was just okay, I have to just apply as if I don't know what tomorrow is, because I don't. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to just not apply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was knocking on doors looking to see what would open.
Yeah.
And always in the back of my mind was this thought of, oh my gosh, what if I do end up getting into the institute and then I still have to keep applying for jobs, knowing that I'm going to be quitting.
Yeah.
Right?
Within
then
months.
That's a legitimate moral dilemma, because I actually do know what's happening, because I will have committed that time. And so what ended up happening is that I received a job offer for a full-time sales opportunity, and I took it immediately as soon as I got it. And then the next day I got accepted to the institute.
Wow.
Yeah. And
if I remember correctly, weren't you doing that sales job part-time?
That's actually another crazy story.
Yes. Okay.
So
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So I ended up starting to work at this company.
Yes.
And
this is March. April?
It was March 6th. March 6th, I started my new job.
Hold on. That doesn't line up with the timeline of when you got the acceptance to the... Mm-hmm. You said you got accepted the 26th or 27th.
Of February, is what I said.
Oh, I thought you said March.
That's okay.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was...
Gotcha.
Got the job. The next day, I got accepted to the institute. A week later, I was starting my new job.
Okay.
Cool.
Got it.
Cool.
Got it.
That's how I remember it, at least.
Yeah. Okay. Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so first day of work, I'm talking to my bosses, and I find out that not is only one of them a Christian, not two of them, not three of them, but four of them are Christians, right? And the person
that's all your bosses.
Yeah, it's basically all my bosses except one, the CRO, and I'm not going to use any names.
What is Chief
Revenue Officer.
There you go.
So
CRO. I'm trying to figure out what CRO meant. Acronyms.
I know in the back of my head, I'm probably going to be quitting, at the end of summer. Mm-hmm. When is a reasonable time for me to tell them, right? And I established a great relationship with my direct manager, and he's awesome. I still talk to him today, which is so cool. But he goes to Park City Presbyterian.
Shout out
PCPC. Big fan of those guys.
Yeah.
Beautiful bookstore at PCPC.
Oh, I love their bookstore.
I haven't been.
Beautiful bookstore.
I haven't been. I'll go.
It's worth going.
I'll go, guys.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Their whole church is absolutely gorgeous.
I don't think I've ever been. Mm-hmm. I've been to PCBC.
Not even the same. Actually, I have no idea. I've never been.
Is it Baptist? I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Park City's Baptist Church. There's Park City's Presbyterian Church and then Park City's Baptist Church. And I have a fun story one
Tell
time.
Us a fun fact.
My friends Jalen and Bon. I don't know if you guys met them. You guys know Jalen. And Jalen's in the group chat. Mm-hmm. Bon's not. But my friends Jalen and Bon were supposed to be going to PCPC, Park City's Presbyterian Church, with some people that they had met that week or something. just to like go visit, and they accidentally went to PCBC,
Oops.
which is Park Cities Baptist Church, and I found that out because somebody I know who goes to PCBC had reposted Park Cities Baptist Church Instagram posts, and they were the top like picture. And I was like, Jalen and Vaughn?
That's so random.
I was like, why are they at PCBC of all places? And so I like text Jalen, or maybe I text one of them, maybe both of them. And I was like, why were y'all at that church? And they go, oh, we were supposed to go to PCPC. And then we went to the wrong one. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So just a funny little, I know, just like so silly and funny. Anyway. So, okay, the managers.
Manager, PCPC manager. So I text him one morning, hey, can we get coffee?
Mhm.
We go get coffee beforehand. And I sit down and I explained to him, I was like, I'm very outspoken about my faith at work. And so we would regularly talk about Christianity, Presbyterian versus non-denominational, right? Lean a little bit Baptist. So like obviously a couple of things we disagree on, always fun conversations that we'd be able to have. And so we sit down for coffee and I break down to my guy, tell him everything. I'm like, look, this is what's happened. This is how I got here. I have an offer to go work part-time with this church. And I feel like the Lord's called me to do it. And
is it part-time?
More time, more or
I
less.
would say it's full-time.
It's kind of full-time.
Okay, sorry, continue.
It's kind of both.
Yeah, maybe in between those.
Yeah, it's kind of both. It's between like 15 to 25 hours a week you probably spend.
Plus like studying and stuff.
Between working and studying, I would say.
Oh,
up to
really?
25 hours, yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess
Maybe
for some
30?
reason I was thinking more than that.
I would say 30.
Anyways,
Okay.
point is, I lay it out for him. I'm like,
more than
look, this is something this is what I really want to do. Said, and so I'm really sorry, but like I think I'm gonna have to step away from this position. And he goes, that's amazing that you're doing that. I'm really glad that you are pursuing that and that the Lord has called you to that. I'd like you to work for me part-time while you do that.
Wow.
And I said,
okay.
So I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
At all. I was like, that'd be really cool. I thought in the back of my head, I was like, maybe he would do something like that, but really,
yeah, you weren't expecting it.
It's a corporate position.
Yeah,
you're expected to be full time.
There's usually not part-time sales positions like that.
And so what they ended up doing is that they basically created a new position for me to work.
That's amazing.
It was actually such a miracle. And so I worked. It was like hourly. I had to clock like over 20 hours a week. There's a whole thing, but it was fantastic. The Lord used it to just provide for me in the institute, make sure I had food on my table. Because I was in a little bit of debt for a car payment that I had to make, and it was a whole thing, and time and time again, the Lord would regularly put food on my plate, just regularly.
Jehovah Jireh.
Yep. Like there was moments where I was like, "Hey, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the cash just for like lunch or whatever, And like next thing I knew, there was gonna be lunch at Watermark, and they just would provide it, or like I'd find something somewhere. Or
find some food in a dumpster or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding a dumpster, no big deal. I not once did I ever go hungry. Not once was I ever in need. And I just felt so clearly that I was walking in surrender and submission to the Lord, and He blessed every single step of the way.
That's crazy. That just makes me think of the verses in Matthew of just like don't worry about what you're going to eat or what you're going to wear because like I'm going to provide it for you. That's Izzy paraphrased. It's in Matthew. I'm going to look it up. But yeah, it's just like if you're fully surrendered to the Lord, if you're following in his like where he's leading you and like you in your heart are like, I am submitted to you, Lord, like wherever you want me to go, I'll go. Like he will provide. And sometimes it's not always like, sometimes we're like, oh, but I want to be making millions. And it's like, why am I not making like X or Z, Y, Z amount? But it's like, you're making enough, and like you were making enough to get by. And that was a miracle. And because don't you still work there?
Yeah.
And so like, then you had a job coming out of the institute, which that was hard for a lot of people to find jobs. Like I know our other friend, Logan, had to like move back home and then come back because he couldn't find a job. And so like the fact that you had a job then still like, and you could just transition into full-time again was such a blessing too, and so that's just like so amazing to hear just how the Lord provided for you and how like you were just always provided for, and just like those are all such crazy insane stories, like how that all just happened like boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Because I think also like going back to when you first prayed, you were in Austin and you first prayed like, okay, Lord, like next lease that's in my inbox. I've never had a lease show up in my inbox. Like, is that a normal thing?
I don't think so.
Because that's a weird thing to pray.
It was just like, it wasn't like, oh, like send me a random lease. I was just like, I'm just tired of looking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just desperate at this point. I just want anywhere.
Yeah. So you
Anywhere
basically
except
were just
Austin.
like next door that opens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said the next place that opens up.
Okay. Because I was like, I don't think I've ever had a lease just show up in my inbox personally.
Yeah.
So I was like, the fact that you prayed that specifically and then that happened 2 days later, I would be like, what? Because that's just so crazy random. But that's still so cool. The Lord was like, okay. Like, and sometimes what I've found sometimes, because I agree 100% of like, sometimes the Lord just gives you 2 options and says, you decide. Like, you, like, either way is good, you know? Because your heart is surrendered to me. You can choose. And I struggle with that sometimes too, because I'm like, nope, just tell me exactly what to do. Because like, which one's better? Because there was a situation where when I was looking for a job after the internship I had when I first moved to Dallas, I was looking for a nannying job. And there were 2 different like nannying opportunities. And I just did not know which one to pick. I was like, there has to be like a better option here. Like one of these is probably like where the Lord wants me and one of them's not. And I remember I was like living with my mentor at the time and she was just like, Izzy, just pick. Like both of them are great. Like the Lord will bless both of them. Like your heart's in the right place with both of them. You can't mess up God's plan. Like if there's 2 options, it doesn't mean that one of them's right and one of them's wrong necessarily. You know, like you have peace about both of them. Neither of them are like would be sinful, you know, whatever. And so, and I'm glad I chose the one that I did because I ended up just choosing one that it was like, I think either more money or the same amount of money. I think it was more money, less kids, more money, less kids, better flexible schedule. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with that one. But like either one would have been great. But if I had chosen the other one, I wouldn't have been free Monday nights. I would have had to work Monday nights. But I ended up doing not the institute. I ended up doing regeneration. But like I didn't know at the time when I was accepting the position that I wanted to do regen. Like I didn't do it for a couple more months. But I was like, wow, if I had chosen the other one, I would never have been able to go through regen, which is a 12-step program that our church does and other churches now too. But it was just like such a cool blessing to see how the Lord like just did that. Like, and it's like I genuinely could have picked either one. And I'm sure if I picked the other one, like that would have been great and fine too. You know, like Lord would have redeemed that and would have not redeemed it, but like the Lord would have blessed that one and like, you know, whatever. But just the fact that like, I don't know, just seeing how the Lord worked it all out is cool because it's like I had multiple options. Neither was good, neither was bad. So like I feel like just like if you're listening, you know, like it takes the pressure off of like making decisions on your own because you're like, oh my gosh, like why like is the Lord not just giving me an answer? Like why is there just silence, you know? But it's like just exactly that. Sometimes you just have to make the decision and the Lord's going to walk right alongside of you or ahead of you already. Like he's already ahead of you with either option. And he already knows which one you're going to decide, you know, he already knows. And if your heart's in the right posture, like I think that was something that I had to really figure out and decide and like pray it through and process with the nannying jobs of like, okay, where's my heart at? Like, why do I want this job? Why do I want that job? Is there like sin in any of that? Or is it just like, oh, this one just seems like a better option. I'm going to go with that one. Okay. Like that would work better with my schedule. Great. And so I went with that one, you know? And so it's just taking some pressure off. Anyway, Joe, you want to say that?
Yeah. Which is, it's so funny, that scenario of just having 2 options, right? And not knowing which one to decide. Like I struggle with that too. But I remember one of my good friends, Will Johnson. So shout out to you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
He rebuked me and he was just like, hey man, you are not strong enough to get in the way of God's plan in your life.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You cannot ruin God's plan.
I loved that so much. And I run back to that because it's so true. We are not strong enough to destroy God's plan for us.
Yeah.
I love you, Joe.
Me too.
That's so tender.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. And I think that we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes of like, and it's like almost legalism a little bit to an extent of just like, well, the Lord needs to like show me exactly where I'm supposed to go. And I need to follow that exact like place. And I mean, sometimes, I mean, like it's, if the Lord's giving you like very clear direction to go one place, and you're like, I really can't figure it out. Like, I don't know what to do. And you're just ignoring it because you don't want to do it. That's one thing. But like, if you're seeking the Lord with all of your heart, like, it kind of, again, back to the same verse in Matthew, it's Matthew something. It's in there. Just check Matthew. I want to say 6, but I could be wrong about that. Do you want to look it up? Do you want to fact check me right now?
Okay, what do you want to look up?
The sparrows and lilies.
Oh, we just talked about that today in church.
Joe's going on a side quest.
Ooh. But like, you guys went to church today and I didn't. I'm a heathen. I'm going to the 4 p.m. guys. It's not 4 p.m. yet.
There's no way.
I don't think it's 12.
We better wrap this up.
Sorry.
Yeah. It is Matthew 6. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Therefore,
I was wrong.
6. I said 6.
It's
Yes.
6.
Bottom left.
Yes. Okay. Wait. Oh.
Not that one.
Therefore, I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to skip. I wanted to get down to verse 33. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And that was the verse I was thinking of specifically, of like, if you are seeking his kingdom and you are like seeking, and you're just like, just seeking the Lord in everything, and you are just doing your best to follow the Lord and glorify him no matter what, like, and that's where your heart posture is, and you're like, whatever I do next, I just want to glorify the Lord. Great. Like, the Lord will figure out the rest for you. So, any final thoughts? So we'll wrap yours up so that we can get to Joe's.
Okay. I'm not that important. So I'll talk about a conversation that I had with a guy named Elijah once.
Okay.
And I'm going
From
to
the
tell you
Bible?
this story for anybody who is out there struggling with substance abuse or idolatry or addiction in any way.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really talk about that with your story.
I was sitting on the beach one time at a bonfire, and this guy named Elijah Dernall walks up to me. Shout out my name, Elijah. Love you. Sorry, I haven't responded to your text from last week. That's so bad. He walks up to me. I think about this all the time, Elijah. He walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, let's go for a walk." I was like, "All right, fine, whatever. Let's go for a walk." So we're walking down the beach, and he goes, "Hey, Spencer, you still smoke weed, right?" I was like, "Yeah." I was a professed Christian, like volunteering at the church, right? And he goes, "Okay. Why?" I just said, "Because I can." And he said something along the lines of, "Do you get intoxicated?" I was like, "Well, yeah, you get high." And he was like, "It's a sin."
Mm.
And I said, "No, I don't think so." And he goes, "It is." And I just lay down the law. He's like, "It is, Spencer." And I wanted to be ignorant. And I wanted to be like, "Yeah, but like I love, Jesus and the Bible and whatever." And he said, "Spencer, do you love Jesus more than you love weed?"
Mm.
I said, "Yeah, of course I love Jesus more than I love weed." He said, "Then you should give it up. Stop smoking weed." I said, "Yeah, but I think I can do both." And he goes, "You can't.
Mm.
You get to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't pick Jesus, then you're picking weed."
Mm-hmm.
And man, that stuck with me.
Mm.
I never smoked weed again.
Wow. After that conversation, never
After
again.
that conversation, never again.
Wow.
Didn't touch it. And then that conversation impacted, I think, everything else that I've ever done. Because the question is always, do I love God more than I love this thing that's in front of me? And if the answer is yes, then it should be really easy to let that thing go. Because God's better. So ask yourself that question. If there's anything in your life, do I love this more than I love God?
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Join me next week. You already know who's on the podcast, Joe. And Spencer's back too. It's a fun, great episode. Joe talks about the Institute a lot too, and how the Lord has just convicted him in a lot of different ways and just spoken to him and just helped him get to where he is today. And it's a great episode. But until then, have a great week.